We had been waiting a decade for a new Dragon Age game to release, and unfortunately, the one we got was less than superb. Veilguard was truly the worst type of product that they could have created possible, and it seems that we are not the only people who are upset with the state of this franchise, because the Dragon Age creator is slamming BioWare over a perceived Mass Effect favoritism in a blue sky firestorm. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, we all know that Dragon Age is dead. We're never going to get another Dragon Age game, or if we do, it's not going to be for another like 15 or 20 years when they have to pull something out of the vault, and it's sad to say because I used to really love Dragon Age. I know so many people were excited about Dreadwolf coming out, and then it turned into Veilguard, and we just got a really terrible product. But now the Dragon Age creators actually slamming BioWare, which there's a lot to unpack here. I'm sure that you saw in the title, right? Blue Sky Firestorm, red flag. But he was not affiliated with Dragon Age the Veilguard. And it really speaks volumes as to how much companies change over the years. Look at Rocksteady. I talk about Rocksteady a lot because I love the Arkhamverse. I had insiders at Rocksteady, and unfortunately, that company changed so much. It was out with the old, the people who actually cared about franchises, the studios, co-founders, and in with the new, which were activists who were more worried about pushing political narratives in their content instead of just creating escapism. And the same thing has happened with many other studios like Oblivion, like BioWare, and I don't think we're ever going to get the golden days of these studios back, but it is interesting to see people speak out. So it says sibling rivalry has been a part of the human condition since we were all living in caves, hitting things with clubs. Some of us still are. This also apparently holds true at BioWare, particularly among its two divisions devoted to Mass Effect and Dragon Age. We know that Dragon Age is dead, and that they took some of the people who worked on Dragon Age and pushed them over to Mass Effect. So now BioWare just kind of one big Mass Effect blob team, because if the next Mass Effect game comes out and it's trash, BioWare's done for. So they don't really have these two specific teams anymore, but he's talking about years ago how it used to be a problem. Per PC Gamer, David Gator, the creator of Dragon Age and former lead writer at BioWare, has posted up a storm over on Blue Sky about just how bad the internal conflicts got at BioWare beneath both the development teams. So first of all, yeah, he's on Blue Sky. There are many industry professionals who go over there because on one hand, they believe that they can keep their industry access, right? And maybe if they keep following the trends in the industry, they'll keep getting hired. But second of all, everyone's allowed to have their personal opinions. He did create an amazing franchise all those years ago, but just because somebody did something good in the past doesn't mean they can do just as good now. It says, though, while I was at BioWare, EA always preferred Mass Effect. Straight up, their marketing team liked it more. It was modern. It had action. They never quite knew what to do with DA. And whenever DA outperformed Mass Effect got the excuses. If you ask me, it was always just shy of the axe since Dragon Age Origins, which of course is sad to hear because while the other Dragon Age games have all had problems, not to the extent of Veilguard. I mean, Veilguard was just an abomination through and through. It was a modernized Dragon Age for young adults, which was terrible. They had modern day terminology like transgender, non-binary. There were top surgery scar toggles. The storytelling with characters like Tosh was awful. I mean, some of these characters just existed to be walking billboards for certain sexualities, and it is sad to see this happen to so many beloved franchises, but it's only going to continue to get worse, in my opinion. But in his posts, he noted that up until he left in 2016, BioWare essentially operated as two distinct divisions, and nary the two should ever meet. For a long time, it was basically two teams under one roof, the Dragon Age team and the Mass Effect team, run differently, very different cultures, may as well have been two separate studios, and they did not get along. It's very interesting for me to see this happen now, to see this individual come out now and basically turn on EA, because I feel like the reason he hadn't until this point is because he was hoping that he was going to get on their good side again, right? That he was going to be able to maybe work on another game, whether it was Dragon Age or Mass Effect, and he'd be brought back into the fold, because we know with the next Mass Effect game. They're bringing back a lot of vets, but I think that, he's not getting that call, so he's decided, okay, it's time for me to basically turn my back on them, which, hey, in my opinion, doesn't matter because you still have something to say, though the timing's very specific. Although apparently EA was aware of the issue, their attempts to resolve it were minimal at best. Evidently, this was driven home to him when he joined the Mass Effect team to work on Anthem, calling both the game and the move a mistake. I mean, I don't think that anybody who was affiliated with Anthem could say anything besides it was a mistake. That game all around was a nightmare for them. I don't know what they were thinking with the story and the gameplay, and I guess some of the character and armor designs were kind of cool, but a pretty game can't make up for all of its gameplay or monetization downfalls. And of course, it was a spectacular failure in terms of live service. Per him, he was asked when reshaping Anthem's narrative from hard sci-fi to science fantasy, but was constantly set upon by the Mass Effect team because they felt that his writing was too Dragon Age. I think that it's funny that a team was telling him it was too Dragon Age, even though he was hired to bring it more from like a Halo to a Dragon Age. I kept getting feedback about how it was too Dragon Age and how everything I wrote or planned was too Dragon Age, the implication being that anything like Dragon Age was bad, and it certainly should not have been seen that way because Dragon Age had been wildly successful before, but not anymore, though it's not shocking to hear all of this happened, given the EA CEO doesn't understand how the company is ran now, what made the company successful in the past. I mean, just a few months ago, Andrew Wilson, the EA CEO, had attempted to explain away Veilguard's failure, claiming the game didn't sell due to lack of live service elements, yet ignored the divisive identity politics, which I think is just so fucking funny, because if it was just because of a lack of live service elements, something like Anthem would have been $1 billion hit. Anthem would have made tons of money because it was a live service game, and it didn't. It's not live service that people want. It's good storytelling that people want, high quality storytelling that people want, beautiful games that play well, that don't release in a state that feels like it's in a beta. We want you to be releasing high quality completed experiences, not just, oh, it's live service or it's not live service. Of course, they don't mention the identity politics at all, which is fucking laughable given the identity politics are a major reason why this game failed. People are sick and tired of narratives being shoved into their faces. People just want escapism. Video games are a form of escapism, and you should just be creating fun experiences and products, and that's really not what companies are focused on anymore. So while this is a person, right, who's run to blue sky and somebody who clearly has a mindset that is one that is definitely mainstream still, it is very interesting to hear these inner workings of companies like EA, and unfortunately I would say end of Dragon Age, because I don't even consider Veilguard to be Dragon Age. I do not consider that the end of Dragon Age. It ended with Inquisition, in my opinion, so this is like one of the last integral people who actually cared about Dragon Age that worked at BioWare. So yeah, it will be interesting to see if anybody in the industry responds to this, if we hear anything else from David, but for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.